Dear all, welcome to yet another video Dr. RS and you on science of cosmetics and personal care products. We are discussing building blocks, and in the building blocks we are discussing about actives. So we studied about actives, skin moisturization, for management of prickly heat, for acne and for dandruff. Now today we are going to discuss about building blocks for deodorants. Okay, building blocks for deodorants. So this is part 27. Building blocks, actives, deodorants, right? This is deodorants. Now, this is again, we discussed deodorants and deodorants, how body gets body odor before. Just to recollect, there are two sweat glands, eccrine sweat gland and apocrine sweat gland. Eccrine sweat gland is present from our birth. Apocrine sweat gland formed only after puberty, right? Eccrine sweat gland is distributed throughout the body, but apocrine sweat gland is concentrated in certain areas like back of the ears, underarms, groin area and all this. So, what deodorants do is, deodorants, see, pure apocrine sweat has no odor. This is what we mentioned last time. Pure apocrine sweat has no odor. When bacteria decomposes the apocrine sweat, it gives specific odor, body odor. Right? Now, when apocrine sweat gland, eccrine sweat gland is also distributed everywhere. In the underarm, eccrine sweat gland is also there. So, eccrine sweat gland, the composition is mostly electrolytes. Apocrine sweat gland, it's mostly fats and proteins. Now, eccrine sweat gland, disperses that apocrine sweat gland and spreads it, right? And also it gives moisture and support the microbial growth there in that area, because moisture is there. So it's an ideal condition, temperature, underarm. So you have fats, sebaceous apocrine secretion it takes nutrition from apocrine secretion, bacteria, and then there are normal bacteria in the skin it's called skin microflora. So it starts multiplying in certain areas, and while multiplying it spreads spreads and it decomposes the apocrine sweat. So pure apocrine sweat has no odor. The decomposition product of the apocrine sweat has that odor, and that contributes to the specific body odor, right? So eccrine sweat is thought to enhance spread over a wide surface of a sticky oily material from axillary apocrine glands. So what happens? Apocrine glands secretion is sticky oily material. No, it's mostly fats. What happens? Eccrine sweat spreads this apocrine sweat. The underarm, it spreads the apocrine sweat. Eccrine sweat trapped in the underarm maxilla vault provides an ideal environment for proliferation of the resident bacteria, acting upon the non-odorous sterile underarm apocrine secretion. What is this? When the underarm secretion is sterile, because no bacterial contamination that can decompose it, it is non-odorous, it has no odor. But the resident bacteria acts on this apocrine sweat to form characteristic body odor. Simple. Apocrine sweat is sticky oily material. It contains mostly sticky oily material and it's concentrated in certain areas, axillary region. Eccrine sweat spreads it over a wide surface area. So pure apocrine sweat has no odor. When the apocrine sweat is decomposed by bacteria, the decomposition product gives that body odor. So decomposition of perspiration of apocrine sweat gland results from the action of various organisms residing in the skin bacteria flora itself, right? It's residing in the skin, right? Well over 90% of the organisms present are either aerobic diphtheroids or staphylococci or Corynebacterium species, right? They are all present in the axillary region. These are all the bacteria present in the axillary region. So these bacteria, these microorganisms act on the secretions of apocrine sweat secretions, apocrine species, and produces a sweaty odor, right, which has been identified as resulting from short chain fatty acid, isovaleric acid, butyric acids, and also from specific steroidal 16 androsterone compounds based on the diet, based on the ethnicity. Even the body odor of two people is different, right? So these are all the major compounds, but there are minor other compounds also that alter the body odor, right? So majorly isovaleric acid, butyric acid, steroidal compounds, 16 androsterone compounds, all these things are the decomposition products of the apocrine sweat that causes the body odor, right? So that is how we get the body odor, right? And there are other decomposition products are also there that also alters the body odor. That's why two people body odor is not the same. It varies, and ethnically the Africans smell different, Asians, Chinese smell different, the British smell different, Indians smell different. Even in India, people smell differently. So this is, again I am repeating, this is because of the decomposition of this apocrine sweat present in specific areas, majorly in the underarms. Pure apocrine has no sweat, but bacteria decomposes the sweat, apocrine sweat, and the decomposition product causes the body odor. And the eccrine sweat, which is more in electrolytes, what it does? It spreads the apocrine sweat, which is almost the apocrine sweat is more a fatty proteinaceous thing that it spreads it, eccrine sweat. So eccrine sweat supports the degradation of apocrine sweat, right, by providing sufficient moisture and by spreading it well for more surface area, right? Then what is a deodorant? What is a deodorant? A deodorant is a substance applied to the body to prevent or mask body odor due to bacterial breakdown of the apocrine sweat, right? A deodorant is a substance applied to the body to prevent or mask body odor due to bacterial breakdown of the apocrine sweat. What it does? It impedes bacterial growth, absorbs body odor, thus eliminating the, if it's underarm deodorant, mostly underarm odor, right? So it can be bacteriostatic or bactericidal Bacteriostatic, it doesn't allow bacteria to grow. Thus, it arrests the bacterial growth. Bactericidal, it kills the bacteria. Okay. So, currently, alcohol, ethyl alcohol is widely used. Above 60% ethyl alcohol, above 60% ethyl alcohol in the formula, no, it has to be in the formula above 60%, calculated on 95% basis in the formula, it is a good deodorant. Right, it's a good deodorant by itself because it arrests the bacterial growth, right, and therefore it doesn't allow apocrine sweat to decompose. The other ingredient that was widely used was triclosan. Triclosan is a bacteriostatic, it kills bacteria and it doesn't allow the bacteria to grow. So now currently the use of triclosan is banned. Then it was used in toothpaste, it was used in deodorants, right? So why? Because triclosan has a lot of environmental issues. So people are moving away from triclosan. That is one thing. Use of ethyl alcohol has its own disadvantage because ethyl alcohol use is controlled regulatory wise. So it has to be made in a bonded warehouse and it's a regulated product, ethyl alcohol, and there are limitations in formulations, right? When 60% ethyl alcohol, there are limitations in the deodorant formulations also. So triclosan, so people are moving and have to remove triclosan. They also want to claim alcohol free deodorant. So now they are in search of new ingredients, and in the market there are some new ingredients existing which people are evaluating. Let us discuss those ingredients and you can evaluate some of these ingredients for the purpose, right? I have given the INCI name of the ingredients. INCI name is International Cosmetic Ingredient Directory. So this is the INCI name. On the labels you have to put the INCI name, right? First, the suppliers sell based on their trade names, okay? Trade names, they will sell as a trade name, but in the trade name they would have given the INCI name of that, okay? This INCI name, that has to be in the label. If you put this INCI name in the Google, you will get what is the trade name of the product which use this combination, okay? This combination of ingredients have a trade name, right? So first ingredient, zinc resinoleate, triethanolamine, dipropylene glycol, lactic acid. It's a combination. It's sold as a combination under a brand name, no? See, based on zinc salt of resinolic acid, it contains high alcohol content in the formulation itself. The alcohol percentage is high, can be formulated into clear deo sprays if the product contains water less than 30%, right? The product formulation should have water less than 30%, then this can be this ingredient can be used. Deo sticks have high propylene glycol content and roll-ons, right? So right? Triethyl citrate is a colorless and odorless lipophilic liquid made from natural source. Lipophilic is fat soluble, right? It is an ideal addition to deodorant formulation because it inhibits the esterases based metabolism of sweat components, which causes malodor, right? This active ingredient does not affect the natural skin flora. So it inhibits some of the enzymes that is responsible for that degrades the sweat further into odor causing principles, and thus it works on causing malodor. It doesn't directly kill the bacteria, right? So it works on a different route. This is a very this ingredient is existing for a long time, right? People are trying this ingredient in the deodorants, right? The third ingredient, propylene glycol, ethyl hexyl glycerin and octiniidine hydrochloride, right? It's a liquid deodorant, active ingredient suitable for deodorants and sensitive application. They say if used at proper levels, 24-hour protection can be claimed with excellent efficacy against odor causing bacteria, right? So it controls the odor causing bacteria and prevents the decomposition of the sebaceous, the apocrine sweat, right? So the synergistic combination includes a patented stabilization system. It's safe for aerosol application also, highly effective even at very low content of actives. So this is one thing sold in the market. Then citronellyl methyl crotonate. It's effective at neutralizing wide range of odors while having no discernible odor by itself. Effective for body odor control. So it neutralizes the odor. So that is one approach. Then the other ingredient is phenoxyethanol, combination farnesol and glyceryl laurate. Says it's a synergistic complex of active ingredients with deodorizing properties, right? Then methyl 5-cyclohexylpentanol, it's a compound, is a deodorant with antibacterial, anti-biofilm activities. What is biofilm? It's a film of bacteria, various bacteria, that is biofilm. So it is a deodorant with antibacterial, anti-biofilm activities. It has an appearance of a clear colorless liquid with low odor but a pleasant odor, right? The other ingredient, propanediol, Usnea barbata extract, tromethamine, tetrasodium glutamate diacetate, water and sodium hydroxide. This is one combination. So they claim it's a natural bactericide that controls the bacteria. They say it can be used in anti-dandruff, deodorant and skincare applications, right? Then the second, zinc resinylate, tetrahydroxypropyl ethylene diamine laureth3 propylene glycol. Highly effective deodorant based on zinc salt of resinolic acid, suitable for deodorant formulations with high water content. Suitable for deodorant formulation with high water content. Deo perfumes. Some suppliers of perfume has developed perfumes with inbuilt deodorant properties. With inbuilt deodorant properties, they are called the deo perfumes, right? Some of the companies, you can ask for the deo perfume, and they also give it the deo score, how much extent it protects. So deo perfume is one of the concepts which is there for long. I am showing the actives again. The first one, the second one, third and the fourth. Right? Then the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth and the ninth. Right? Deo perfumes. Right? So you can select from the list of ingredients we discussed. Right? Now, before ending, I want to share my life lesson. Part 27, my life lesson. Detachment is your capacity of coming out of your attachment with ease. So detachment is not running away from all our attachments, what so-called attachments. Might be parents, wife, children, friends, some relatives. No, we are attached. So detachment is not going away from them and behaving indifferently. No. Detachment is your capacity of coming out of your attachment with ease. You bring up your children, educate the children, they grow, they go for work, they get married, they travel out. So you should know when to be detached from them, right? Even when they are going out, still your attachment is there from them. That is the cause for misery. So you know when to get detached, right? And they are independent and you have to detach and come away. So detachment is your capacity of coming out of your attachment with ease. That's what I want to share with you today. Thank you for listening. We will connect in the next part. Till then, bye.